Hi, man, peace. So, Boston Celtics star point guard Kyrie Irving recently sat down to shed some light on who he is as a person and the people who have inspired him to be the person that he is right now. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
The Boston Celtics are on a roll this season with the NBA's best record. Leading the way is the new face of the franchise, even though that face has been masked lately because of an injury. He's the four-time All-Star Kyrie Irving, who's having yet another great season.
And coming over in a trade with Cleveland, Kyrie, your favorite player from Duke, or second favorite player, has helped the Celtics stay ahead of the Cavs for the top spot in the East. Now, the fans in Boston are getting to know their new superstar, and we got to know him better, too, when we learned some of his favorite things in our Inside Stuff playlist.
Let me say this about Kyrie very quickly. Very few people are noting him as a leading candidate for this year's NBA MVP award. Right now on my list, I would have him third, probably tied for third with Antetokounmpo. Number one is James Harden. Number two is LeBron. Tied for three right now is Kyrie and Antetokounmpo. And I will probably give Kyrie a slight edge because of his team's performance. But Antetokounmpo is doing some tremendous things on the basketball court right now. And of course, LeBron is doing things on a more proficient level than he's ever done it. As I've already stated, though, LeBron to me is a person who plays for the stat line. And in the process of playing for the stat line, he's also able to produce wins for his team. So LeBron is almost like a robotic player at this point. He sees the game very slowly. The game is coming very easy to him mentally. But number one is definitely James Harden. I have to give James a lot of credit thus far through 25 games or however many games they played. He has been the MVP of the NBA. I still wouldn't give it to him just because of his performance in last year's playoffs. But so far this year, he's been the best player on the best team. Yo, Kyrie is like the basketball version of Barry Sanders. I'm very thankful, and he's very fortunate that he has not gotten more extremely debilitating leg injuries with the way that he plays. The sudden stop cuts and things of that nature, the juking that he does, and he has the best handle I've ever seen. The only one close is Isaiah Thomas, the old Isaiah Thomas. Let me also give honorable mention to Rod Strickland as well. Tim Hardaway had a great handle too, but Kyrie has the best that I've ever seen. Steph Curry is up there, but old Isaiah Thomas has a better handle than Steph Curry has right now, and Rod Strickland probably did as well, because you didn't pick those guys. Like you could pick Steph, particularly when he gets sloppy with it. Now, when Steph is concentrating, it's extremely hard to pick him, because he has very quick hands. But Kyrie has the quickest hands as well as the hardest dribble. He can do the most diverse things with the ball that I've ever seen any great player able to do. You've had other guys who could really dribble, but they couldn't shoot. It's very, very difficult to find guys who can dribble and shoot like Kyrie and has the assortment of offensive skills that he has.
Well, I describe my fashion sense as an R&B skater.
Here's Kyrie Irving. Boy, he is so...
Kyrie said his fashion sense is an R&B skater. What the hell does that even mean? Kyrie's a character, man.
I love skating. I love the skateboard culture.
This guy puts...
That's code word for where them white bitches at.
puts people on skates on the floor.
It's just so awesome seeing the skaters that have influenced cultures around the world. And then R&B is one of my favorite music genres. And if there could be a happy medium of dressing like a skater and an R&B singer, that is me.
He said a happy medium of dressing like a skater and an R&B singer. So I guess that means that when he sings, he moves his hands around a lot, and he also wears tight jeans. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys would believe the song that I play, the top song that I play before every game. It's actually J. Cole, Back to Topic. It's a freestyle.
That's a great song by J. Cole, Back to Topic.
It's also J. Cole, Two-Face.
Oh, dedicated to LeBron James. J. Cole, Two-Face, dedicated to LeBron James.
Two-Face. And then the last one is called Majestic by Fax Wang.
Nothing but sweet spring music there.
I love that song, and I listen to it before every single game. And if I played it, I don't think you guys would believe I listened to it. The best meal that I prepare is a grilled cheese.
In other words, your ass can't cook. I get it.
He's the grilled cheese guy. He's the cheese in that case.
A lot of people that watch me make my grilled cheese complain about how dark it is.
That's about the only thing you like dark is your cheese. You damn sure don't want your women dark, brother. But hey, it is what it is. But you know, from what I understand, he's dating a little light-skinned former volleyball player. So, no, Kyrie is just a person with a ruling class mentality. His attitude is, if he finds her attractive, he's just gonna schmang it.
Just burn the net deep.
And I tell them if they want their own grilled cheese, they can make it the way they want it.
I agree. And that is a little insight into his mentality. Kyrie's going to do what he wants. He doesn't really give a shit about what you think. And if you don't like how he does something, then you go do it your damn self. And that's why I tell a lot of these guys to come on my channel trying to complain all the time. Hey, you should say this. You know, brother, you know what? You go on your channel, you make a video, and you present your data or your information or your views, your perspectives, how you like. This is why I make videos to try to explain some of the things, in my view, from my perspective, that I believe have galvanized Kyrie to make the move to force the trade. Okay? And to be quite frank with you, I haven't seen anything yet to indicate that I was off in my observation. What a tremendous move. The dude, I really hope that he does not get any injuries, knock on wood, because he has had a lot of leg injuries in the past. I shouldn't say a lot, but he's had some, particularly at bad moments. He had one in the finals back in 2015. He makes so many sudden stops and cuts. That's why I call him the NBA Barry Sanders. Hopefully he can get through the season without anything debilitating.
Looking once again. Feed him, he's hungry.
I cannot remember a player of his size who had the assortment of offensive skills that he has at every range. He's probably the best layup maker in the NBA. He's probably the best mid-range jump shooter off the dribble in the NBA. And he may be one of the top 5 three-point shooters off the dribble in the NBA, along with, of course, James Harden, Damian Lillard, and Steph. So the things that he can do make him a tremendous asset, of course, on the offensive end. And then with his great brain power and understanding of the game, he's become a much better defensive player, and he's only going to go up.
My favorite city to visit would probably be Brooklyn or New York. It's about 30 minutes or 40 minutes going back home.
A happy homecoming so far for him.
When I go back home to Jersey, my dad makes me a great meal the night before the game.
A little home cooking helps that shooting better.
And I spend all night with my family members, and we all meet up at my house in Jersey.
Whenever you see any features on Kyrie, he always goes back to his father. He always reflects back to his dad. That's why whenever you see Kyrie, he always appears to be extremely mentally stable. You never see Kyrie lose it on the court. He always keeps things in proper context and proper perspective. He doesn't make the low moments lower than they should be. He doesn't make the high moments higher than they should be. He always stays in the moment and he moves on to the next.
So now we know what gets Kyrie pumped up to play so well. A little J. Cole, followed by Wax Fang's Majestic, a song he actually discovered by watching American Dad on TV. Then he made it his pregame tune.
Now here's one I know you keep on your playlist, Kristen.
Okay, so now here's another segment that I saw on Kyrie Irving that once again gives some insight into how the brother thinks and why he does what he does. Let's see what they have to say.
Apparently, it's 11 that has some sentimental value for Kyrie Irving of the Boston Celtics, as we find out in this Time Out.
Them combos that he throws on his defenders, those dribble combos, it's like Muhammad Ali combinations in his prime. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know how many they're going to be, and you don't know when they're going to end. All you know is that when it's over, you usually don't know where the hell you are.
It was a pretty easy switch for me to go to 11. I wore number 11 when I was in high school. For my dad, his numbers retired at Boston U. My dad and my mom met. They also like number 11.
Once again, you see how Kyrie always takes everything back to his dad. Extremely essential and important. Okay? I cannot express this enough, how important it is for the so-called black man to grasp that he's the matrix for his son. All right? Now, we know literally the child proceeds out of the woman. So the vagina is the literal matrix, but the spiritual matrix for the son is the father. The son literally takes the imprint of his persona from his dad. So this is what stops a lot of young men when they're being raised in functional households with functional men from falling prey to idolatry. Idolatry meaning what? The worship of women, the worship of random men. Because many random men out here, they prey on lost boys. And not just from a perspective of pederasty, but from a perspective of who I can make my submissive, my subservient, who I can send out there. You see it in a lot of these various religious groups or cults. Right? A lot of these guys, they want you to refer to them as quote unquote elders. You have to understand, and I tell brothers this all the time, when you take certain terms onto yourself, whether it be prophet or elder, there's a lot there's a lot of carryover from that. There's a lot of responsibility when you want to call yourself that and you want people to acknowledge you as that. That is a figure of leadership. That's a figure of inspiration. And that's also a figure that has to be held in the highest esteem in regards to conduct. Okay? Your number one elder, it has to be your dad. So that's why the onus is always on the father to be there, not just be there and be there physically, but to provide the blueprint for how his son is supposed to conduct himself and how he's supposed to think. And clearly, Kyrie Irving's father has done that for him, because Kyrie Irving always reflects back to his dad and shows the utmost respect to him. I remember there was an interview that Kyrie had while in Cleveland where some idiot reporter tried to imply that LeBron James has been a quote-unquote father to Kyrie, or a dad figure to Kyrie. And Kyrie stopped the interviewer and laughed, because at first he wasn't quite sure what the interviewer was trying to imply, and then he corrected the interviewer, as he should have. And you see it a lot. I've even had cats try to come at me on my on my channel with that elder stuff. I have one main elder, that's my dad. Okay, he did everything that he needed to do for me, and this is why I make videos like this, to accentuate to brothers how important that is. When you are who you're supposed to be for your son, it stops him from falling prey to a lot of bullshit out here. Because many of these people are lost souls, and they just get off on trying to abduct the spirit and the mind of people who are even more lost than them.
Kyrie, great handle around Kavanaugh, and puts the icing on the cake.
And what I like about Kyrie does all those fancy moves. He finishes at the basket, and he very, very rarely does a lot of big gesticulations or gestures unless it's in a big moment. That once again shows you how concentrated he is while he's on the court. He's not caught up in showboating too much. I mean, look, professional sports is emotional. You have to have passion. So people are going to express themselves, but people who do it every play, people who are overly infatuated with doing it, oftentimes they lose track of what they're supposed to be concentrating on. All right? A lot of times Steph Curry gets caught up in too many gestures and celebrations, and he ends up looking like an ass on the court sometimes, to be quite frank with you.
In spectacular fashion with a vintage right hand finger roll.
Kyrie Irving wearing number 11 as he begins his Celtics career in honor of his father, Dedrick Irving, who, if you remember, is the third all-time leading scorer at Boston University, where he played from 1984 to 1988.
So it was a pretty easy change for me. And it felt like or feels like it's supposed to be my number. So it feels good.
Hey, well, once again, Kyrie always reflects back on his dad, and you can see, man, basically just looks like another version of the elder Irving right there, you know, just in replication. That's all. So once again, and you can see Kyrie Irving easily could have said, had he not had a father figure, I wear number 11 for Isaiah Thomas, or I wear number 11 for this notable player or that notable player, but he chose his dad. And look, there's nothing wrong with a player choosing to wear a player in honor of another player that they admired growing up. But the fact that Kyrie constantly reflects back on his father shows you the great job that his father must have done. And just to go back to the sentiment that I touched on a little earlier in this video, you have a lot of brothers who want to be called elders, and that is a title of extreme import, and that vocation is something that you better be very, very careful when you try to conjure that vocation and that title, because of what it truly entails. Okay, especially when you decide that you want to believe that you can lead younger men. When you go into the scriptures and it tells you about the elders were men who were picked and chosen by the apostles of that time period, who had the Spirit on them. As per Acts of the Apostles, the 2nd chapter, they had the Holy Spirit on them. They were in the time of grace where men were under divine calling, a divine favor. That time period ended during the time of John the Revelator. Okay. Not to digress too much, I'm going to stay on topic in regards to this video. But the point being is that a lot of random people and men today, they want to try to embody those titles because it's going to give them power, oftentimes that they don't deserve. Let's get the focus back on where it should be, which is starting in the home and starting with the father just doing what he's supposed to do in regards to imparting that spiritual matrix onto his son. That's why I always, man, cats got to be very, very careful who you inseminating, because most of these bitches are crazy. And most of them get off on trying to discontinue that line of influence from the father to the son, because they don't want to have that influence of the man over the woman in the house, talking about these females who many of these brothers choose to inseminate. Cats got to be very, very careful with these women, man. You know what I'm saying? You can have a royal seed, but if you plant it in polluted soil, the plant that sprouts is going to be, it's not going to be fruitful. So it is what it is, man. But hey, that was a very good segment with Kyrie and his dad. All right. Peace.